Hey everybody, Sean with the Good Dog, and we're back with Mr.
Ernie Bird.
Ernie Bird. Ernie Bird. Okay, so here's what's going on. Here's what's on the menu. So we're going to introduce you guys and Ernie to the very beginning, first phase of e-collar recall. Now, the way we do it is different than a lot of folks do it. So there's a multitude of ways to approach this. And I've got other videos that show you how to do it outdoors, on a longer line, or not on place, not inside, all sorts of different stuff. But this is how we primarily teach recall nowadays. So there's a lot of benefits to it. I think I probably talked a bit about it in the prong collar videos where I was talking about already conditioning a dog to a spot. So a placemat, and then that means you don't have to worry about the dog following you and you're trying to get away from the dog to be able to create the recall kind of the whole motion. So that takes care of that, which is huge because otherwise you're like trying to like hide behind the dog, get behind him and like, or throw food on the ground, trying to distract him and things like that. So that takes care of a big part of that. And then what we do is we start recalling them off of the mat, right? And it doesn't need to be perfect. We just recall them off the mat. What typically happens, if you're doing recalls just kind of out in the open and you're not using like a specific location that the dog's anchored, you tend to get a dog who's just a little more wild and woolly and just kind of doing its thing. Now that can definitely work. But what you end up getting as a byproduct is a dog who's more wild and woolly. So not only will they possibly follow you, but they're far more likely to kind of shear off and kind of do their own thing rather than coming into you. What this approach does, and you'll see us build this as long as Ernie doesn't fall asleep, is basically starting from a conditioned spot, location, place, and then recalling him off of it. I'm going to show you how I do it, and then I'm going to reward him for doing that. We're going to do a bunch of those, make sure that that's looking good. I'm going to make sure I find the right level that works, that's motivating for him to actually move towards me. I'm going to use the least amount of leash pressure possible. I'm going to use a lot of eye contact, body position with this bending over, focusing on him, the command, and then backwards motion, right? But I'm not going to use a lot of pulling on the leash. So it's going to be a very subtle thing of, right? Now, doesn't look super hard, but when you try and put them all together, like everything else we've been doing, it can get a little bit more challenging. So you can just watch this over and over again and see how it looks. Now, from there, once we get this basic recall happening where he's moving towards me when I give the command, and once again, I'm going to break all the dog trainer rules in the universe, and I'm going to say, come, as the first command without teaching anything else prior, which is going to make a lot of people's heads fly right off, which maybe that's a good thing. So I'm going to teach him like that. You'll see how it works. As you've seen through all these other training protocols that we've done, adding the word straight away because we're guiding him with the leash hasn't caused any problems. In fact, things seem to be moving pretty damn smoothly. So let's see what we get with that. And then the kind of end goal is going to be then bringing another mat out, which we'll put just a few feet away. It doesn't need to be a big distance. And then we'll start recalling them back and forth, back and forth. And that's going to look very boring. And it's going to look like, well, what the hell does that do? What it does is it creates the basic foundation for motion, stillness, motion, stillness. Right? So motion, recall, stillness, place. And what that will then lead to is that you will be standing here as you call the dog to you. And so even though the dog's going to place, the dog is still coming to you. And then that very easily translates into a recall straight into the human without a mat. So what you end up getting is you end up bypassing all of the kind of problems that are typically associated with recall. Not that they can't be circumvented or problem solved in a different way. There's a million ways to do it. And like I said, I've done a bunch of them and they work great, but we like this because we're inside. We're able to keep the distractions very, very low, and we're able to use these different things like conditioned behavior to a mat to be able to leverage less monkey business and a dog coming into a targeted area. So you do that, you do that, and you do that. Next thing you know, the dog comes into you when you move the mat away, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been coming like this over and over and over again. So hopefully you'll see it in practice, see what it looks like, and hopefully it'll work, and we'll go from there. So, sorry, I've got a frog in my throat because Marta won't let me have any cookies or anything to wash my coffee down. So I'm struggling, but we're going to make sure that he's awake and alive enough to actually like work through this last bit. I fly out tomorrow, so this is our last shot at getting this beginning first phase of e-collar stuff kind of in the bag. So we've got to nail it, and Ernie's got to come through like a trooper. So I'm going to act a fool, get him excited, do all sorts of stuff, and then we will do what we're going to do. I'm sorry, my nose is super, super itchy from all of the allergies. Ready? Let's go. Come on, buddy. Come on, let's go, 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 go. All right. Good, good, good. All right, so that's just to get him excited, just to wake him up. Try his blood a little bit. Ready? You ready to do some stuff? Show everybody what you got? Okay, here we go. So we're at 5, like we've been. Place. Good. I'm going to move this direction. Good. Why did I move this direction? Because I wanted him to come like this. He was going that direction. I moved over here. That caused a nice turn. A little bit of subtle dog trainer insight if you want to learn how to move the dog around. I know I showed you that earlier, but if you want to get the dog facing a certain direction, make sure you move your body in the position to where you want the dog to orient itself, okay? So now we are going to try to do the recall. So let's see what we get. So check it all out. I'm going to do all the stuff I told you. I'm at 5. I'll roll up if I need to. And here's the one last caveat I'll give you guys. Doing this off of a place mat, a dog bed, can be more challenging, as I learned in my first DVD, because the dogs are so comfortable on it, they just want to lay there and relax. Do it on a dog cot, and they're much more inclined to move with you because they're like, dog cot, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's okay, but I'll move off of it. But you get them on one of these things, and they're like, you're calling me? Come on, buddy, really? Like for a piece of kibble? So you never know what you're going to get when you're using these. We don't have any cots here, but it's something to think about when you're strategizing, when you're trying to do your own recalls, whether you've got dog beds or if you want to try and leverage dog cots, you might find an easier time with that. So here we go. And you're going to watch all the body language, eye contact, verbal, e-collar, watch it all come together, then cross your fingers. You ready? Ernie, come. That's a boy. Good, 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 good. There you go. Very nice, very nice. All right. Let's go, bud. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Place. Good. And I wanted him oriented this way now. Great. That's awesome. That's awesome. You're awake. I love it. So I put all of those behaviors together, my behaviors, and that enticed him off, right? If you stand there, press the button, say the word, and use the leash, like all the other things I told you, but you forget to bend over and move backwards, you will not get the same behavior. I promise you. Eventually, you can, but we have to build to that. So eventually, it can be, come, your dog's from across the yard, comes right to you. Right now, you need to leverage it goes back to what I said at the very beginning of all of these videos, which is, in the beginning, leverage everything you can to help the dog succeed, and then slowly strip them away. Strip them away, strip them away, until the dog is doing all this work on their own, but you've helped them learn how to do it, and then you kind of sneakily remove them, and then the dog's like, hey, I'm doing this on my own, and I don't even need the training wheels. This is super awesome. So that's what that looks like. And I'm not asking him to sit or anything right now in front of me. I could. Any of you dog trainers out there, like, wow, he's not even out, and I'm sit like when he comes into him. I can have him sit if I want, but that's not my goal right now. My goal is just to get him to move into a recall off of place. And I'll show you why. Even my body motion set up like that, it's got him ready to rock. Ernie, come. That's a boy. Good, good, good. There you go. All right. Good. Let's go. So now what we'll try, place. Good. Now, I like that he's facing the opposite direction. So we'll go this way. Now, leash is loose. Good. I don't want him to move, so I'm going to keep rewarding him for doing the right thing like that. And if he moves a little bit like that, that's fine. But what I really want is him to turn and come to me, right? Which is a lot easier than him facing me and then just moving straight towards me. So this is him having to make a complete turn physiologically, right? He's got to move his whole body, reorient, and come towards me. Let's see what we get. Ernie, come. That's a boy. Good, good, good. Very nice. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. All right, come on, let's go. Place. Good. I'm moving this way. Good. Why did I move him that way? Because I'm going this way. Good. He's doing great for like moving on 11 p.m. Have to give him some extra credit. Okay, so once again, he's facing the opposite direction. So this is what I want. If you were doing this outside on a long line or on just a regular leash without a placemat and you were just trying to get the dog to start recalling into you, you would want to be behind the dog and you would want to be doing this. And I'm going to demo that in another video down the line. So stay tuned because it's coming. Don't be like, oh, this is such a weird recall and like I've seen it done the other way. It's like, I know, I'll show it to you guys down the line. It's a piece of cake. So don't get your panties or your jockeys or anything in a wad. Ready? Now, he looks sleepy. We might have a problem. Let's see if we can figure it out. Ernie, come. That's boy. Good, good, good. All right. There you go. Very nice. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring out the other mat and I'm going to show you guys the beginnings of place to place, which is now, like I said, creating that motion, stationary, motion, stationary, motion, stationary, which is how you really build all the stuff that you really want. Because, man, if you can walk your dog, you can get your dog to recall to you, and you can get your dog to stay in one place, you're way ahead of the game. Of course, we'd like even more than that, but like, let's talk about the basics. Those are pretty damn juicy. Okay, so let's cut out, and I'm gonna go grab the other dog beds and we'll set up.